temperature inside your house. So this thermal insulation of building, when we are talking about unnecessary heat transfer that you want to avoid. Okay, so suppose you are having different construction materials that you have used for making your building. Okay, so many materials that we are using, and due to that varieties of ways in which the heat transfer could take place from the roof, then from your wall, then from your opening. Okay, so that basically you want to avoid. Okay, that is the meaning, simple meaning of thermal insulation. So generally, if you have to understand what is exact meaning of thermal insulation, so first thing is that your temperature variation. So thermal, that is related to heat or temperature, you can say. So basically this temperature inside and outside your house is definitely different. Okay, and some building material that we are using and that will allow heat to pass rapidly, and some other don't allow pass as smoothly as other material. Okay, so it all depend upon which material that we are using. So this heat transfer takes place from hotter to colder area, and as a result of that some heat losses would take place. So we don't want that unnecessary heat gain or heat loss to take place. Okay, because in summer season we want that inside our house we should feel cool, and in winter season we want that we should have some warm kind of temperature, so that gives you a comfortable feeling. So we don't want that unnecessary heat transfer. Okay, so to overcome this loss in the building, heat loss in the building, normally the thermal insulation is provided, and we want to maintain required temperature inside your house. Okay, or inside any building. So it is very essential for the comfortable living. Okay, so this thermal insulation is generally obtained during the design process. જ્યારે આપણે design કરીએ ત્યારે જે we have to adopt certain insulation method so that unnecessary heat transfer can be avoided. So basically the main purpose of the heat thermal insulation is to minimize the heat transfer between outside and inside of the building, and to have the comfortable temperature inside your house for comfortable living. So that is the simple meaning of thermal insulation. So now what are the advantage? कौन से एडवांटेज होते हैं अगर आप थर्मल इंसुलेशन रखते हैं? तो सबसे पहले कंफर्ट. Okay, so it provides comfort in summer and winter season both. So you can feel cool in summer season and warm in winter season. Then outside, so that is first thing, comfortable living, that is our first purpose. Second is it also happens that if you are having thermal insulation, then you can have the you can save the fuel or energy, you can say. Okay, so it saves the fuel by minimizing the heat transfer, and less quantity of fuel or energy is required. Agar cool feeling hai in summer also, so you may not require AC. Okay, so you can save your fuel, and you can maintain a desired temperature in the room with the minimum energy requirement. Okay, you can utilize the natural energy instead of whatever that energy in the form of electricity, etc., or some fuel in some colder region that we are using in very cold temperature is there. So that saving in fuel as well as in energy, that can be obtained if you are having proper temperature inside your house. Also, this condensation process also happens. So basically this condensation is the deposition of moisture when warm air comes in contact with the surface having cool temperature. अगर घर में आपका थोड़ा temperature down है, बाहर से warm air आ रही है in the summer season, and due to that some condensation, જેને ઠારણ પ્રક્રિયા કહેવાય ગુજરાતીમાં. Okay, so that again will be converted into water droplet. So such kind of thing it is also possible. So if you are having proper temperature inside your house, then it will prevent condensation or the moisture deposition on the interior of your wall or on the ceiling. तो जो भी आप वाटर ड्रॉपलेट बन जाते हैं wall पे या ceiling पे, that can be avoided. So that can be avoided. Also this water system, so it prevents the freezing of water taps in extreme winter condition. तो very colder space colder places जहाँ पे बहुत ही temperature down जाता है below 0 degree, so that freezing of water tap may be possible. So that can be prevented if you are providing a proper thermal insulation. Also this heat loss in case of hot water system, so sometimes we are providing hot water system also, so this heat loss in this water system can also be avoided. So there are many advantages of this thermal insulation that we can obtain. So basically this heat transfer, whatever mechanism I have told you, that will take place in following ways. So if you understand that कि कहाँ से heat transfer हो रहा है, accordingly you can provide the methods of insulation. So first is conduction. So conduction is the transfer of thermal energy through direct contact, and normally when we are talking about building, it is through material that we are using. So basically this heat transfer through conduction depend upon the this temperature difference inside and outside, then thickness of solid medium, जो भी आपका wall है उसका कितना thickness है, so that thickness of solid medium, then area of exposure कितना expose हो रहा है area, then time for which the heat flow take place, then conductivity of the material. So this material conductivity is very essential parameter whenever you are choosing certain material कि वो कितना heat transfer कर सकता है, so that should be known to you. Okay, and accordingly you can design depending upon the requirement of insulation. Next is convection. So whenever we are talking about this convection, it is the transfer of thermal energy through the movement of liquid or gases. But in building construction, we are more related to this conduction. Next is radiation. So this radiation is heat transfer by radiation, that is through space in the form of radiant energy, जो sun से आ रही है energy उसका. Okay, so whenever this radiation, the sun's radiation, it strikes on object, some of the energy is absorbed and some transformed into the heat. And one way of reducing this heat absorption from the radiation is to introduce a suitable reflecting surface, so that whatever rays that are coming, that can be reflected. Okay, and it should not get that heat energy inside your house. So that radiation energy, generally the reflectors are generally provided. So these are the three ways of heat transfer that may take place inside your house. Okay, so if this is one example, heat loss from a badly insulated house, how this heat loss from the roof, from the doors and windows, that is openings, and through this ground floor and through this outside wall, how this heat loss that is taking place. Okay, so if you are having proper insulated house, then this too much heat loss that may not take place. Okay, so it all depend upon which kind of material you have used, which kind of construction you have used, रूफ कैसा है, फ्लोर कैसा है आपका, थिकनेस कैसी है वॉल की, एंड ओपनिंग में क्या मटेरियल यूज किया है, एंड विच डायरेक्शन, ओरिएंटेशन, so many things are there. So if too much heat loss is not taking place, and inside your house if proper temperature is maintained, then that will serve the purpose of thermal insulation. So there are certain general principles of thermal insulation. So first is related to material. So whatever material of the construction, it should have adequate heat insulation value. So whenever we are talking about heat insulation, means heat ko rokna hai, and that is the meaning low heat conductivity, means it should transfer less heat conduct karna hai. So it may be having high insulation value as far as the heat is concerned. So thermal resistance of this insulating material is generally directly proportional to its thickness. Okay, so whenever you want that proper heat insulation is required, then adequate thickness is to be adopted. So wall thickness, roof thickness, slab thickness, everything, because it is directly proportional to its thickness. Agar solid wall aapka thickness zyada hai, so it will be having good insulation. Okay, also you can provide this air gap, so that is cavity. So this cavity wall, when we already you have learned, it is useful in everything, that damp prevention, then thermal insulation. Okay, so this provision of the cavity in the roof or in the wall or in the ceiling, it offers good insulation against the heat transmission. But if in that airspace agar pani hai, theek hai, so that will increase your that will decrease your thermal insulation. So presence of airspace in the material increase the thermal insulation, but if there is a presence of moisture, then it will decrease its value because it will conduct the heat. Okay, so whatever airspace are there, there should not be presence of some water inside that. It should be a purely air gap or some thermal insulation material you can fill in that air gap, not water. Okay, so this thermal resistance of the building material in general, of the door, window in particular, जैसे आप opening बोलते हो. Okay, so that also depends on the orientation, that is the movement of sun. So basically this orientation of building is also વેરી ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ. કોઈક વાર કે ને મારું ઘર તો બહુ જ તપે છે, કારણ કે ઈસ્ટનો બી તડકો આવે, વેસ્ટનો બી તડકો આવે. સો that orientation is also very important, that is movement of sun. Okay. So building should be located such that there is a maximum transfer of solar energy in the winter and minimum in summer, so that you are having comfortable temperature inside. Okay. So this thermal insulation to some extent can be achieved by adopting general measures or methods like sunshade devices that all houses they may have. Okay. So normally very normal thing is weather shade or chaja that we are talking about, and sun breakers you can utilize. You can increase the height of ceiling, so generally 1 to 1.3 meter above the occupant's height, then it is giving a good measure against this thermal insulation. Then increase the height of parapet wall. Agar altitude angle of the sun means with respect to horizontal, whatever angle of sun that is making, which is called as the altitude angle of the sun, if it is low, then by increasing the parapet wall also you can obtain good thermal insulation. So these are some general principles that you should know. Now there are many materials which are used as a insulating material. So this thermal insulation material that you should know. So first one is slab or block insulation. So basically these are the blocks or boards that are generally having different thickness, that is 2.5 mm thick, 60 centimeter by 120 centimeter its area. So these are like some blocks that are made of some mineral wool, cork board, cellular glass, cellular rubber or sawdust. So these are some material, insulating material, उसके board बनाए जाते हैं, ठीक है. So this kind of board that can be fixed. So this kind of board that can be fixed in the wall or roof to prevent the heat loss and to maintain a required temperature inside your house. Okay, so that is the block or slab insulation. Board बना के उसको आपको slab में या roof में डाल देना, ठीक है. Next is blanket insulation. So these are fibrous roll. So generally they are also made from the mineral wool, cotton or animal hair से बन सकते हैं, and the thickness may be 12 to 80 mm. And this can be also fixed in your slab or roof. So this kind of blanket insulation वो आप रूफ में या फिर आपके पर्टिकुलर स्लैब या वॉल में आप डाल सकते हैं. So generally this kind of insulation that can be also done, that is called as the blanket insulation. Instead of board you are having blanket that you have to just fixed. Then this is the figure that shows you how this solid ground floor insulation can be done. So this is your inner wall and this is hardcore, then sand blinding. Then here you can see this concrete slab, and here this is the DPC layer. Okay, above this you are having insulation, and above that vapor control layer is provided. So this way by various layers, and generally this DPC, that is for avoiding the moisture, and insulation, thermal insulation. So this kind of board or some slab, insulation slab, that can be also provided, and above that you can provide this vapor control layer also. So depending upon the requirement you can have the different layers. Then loose fill insulation. So generally it is also normally fiber materials use होता है insulation के लिए. So it is also consisting of fibrous material like rock wool or slag wool or cellulose or wood fiber wool. So they can be you can place in between the studding. So these vertical members, so we studs have. So in between you can fill this loose material. Okay, so that is called as the loose fill insulation. So between the studding you can fill that for the insulation purpose. Also you can use this bat insulation. So it is also similar to blanket, but only thing is that it is having a greater thickness and small size. So इसकी thickness जरा ज़्यादा होती है as compared to your blanket insulation. So this can also be fixed on the surface of the wall or ceiling. So normally in the colder region, this kind of insulation material they are widely used. Okay. Now next is insulating board. So they are the structural insulation board which are manufactured from the pulp of wood, can or other material. By pressing them and by and they can board can be prepared by adding certain suitable adhesives. उसको चिपका देते हैं, ठीक है ना, प्रेस करते हैं then properly चिपका देते हैं. And these can be used as the particular interior lining of the wall or partition wall. So they are available in different sizes and thickness. So this kind of special insulation boards are also available. So all are generally made from different insulation material. that are specially prepared. Then lightweight aggregate can also be used. So this heat resistance of the concrete, it can be greatly increased by this blast furnace slag or burnt clay or vermiculite. So that are the lightweight aggregate. So this lightweight aggregate, they can also increase your thermal insulation by reducing the thermal that heat resistance that can be increased. Then reflective sheet material also you can use. Okay, so this kind of sheet, so that is for the radiant energy, you can say. Okay, so this reflective sheet material that are having high reflective and low emissivity, emission कम है और reflection ज़्यादा है, so they offer high resistance to heat. And whenever such solar energy strike to such reflecting surface, it will reflect it. Okay, and it will avoid the heat transmission in your house. So generally this gypsum board, steel sheet, reflecting material, or aluminum foil sheets, they are also used. So such kind of sheet, they are used as a reflecting material that you can particularly provide for the reflection of the radiant energy. So basically, which type of material you want to choose, it depend upon this cost, then area to be covered, standard of insulation, कितना चाहिए आपको, cost of heating or cooling. So in some colder region you may require heating, some warmer region you may require cooling. So depending upon that you can choose it. So basically this material, they should have the following properties: high thermal resistance, फायर प्रूफ भी होना चाहिए, इंसेक्ट प्रूफ, ड्यूरेबल, then non-absorbent of moisture. It should not absorb moisture. Okay, then it should be cheaper and it should be readily available. So these are the some general requirement that can be true for any material that we are using for construction. Similarly here for the insulating material. So there are general methods of thermal insulation that you have to understand. So first general method, heat insulation can be obtained by your orientation of building. Second, by shading, shade कर सकते हैं आप, ठीक है, by providing the proper height of ceiling or parapet wall, or by different means. So there are many means by which at different uh, wall and in roof you can do different means by which you can provide the insulation, or also you can provide this heat insulation by passive solar design. So we will understand one by one all these methods. So these are the general methods. Okay, so first is heat insulation by orientation. So this orientation of the building with respect to sun has very important bearing on its thermal behavior. Okay, so we want that there are conflicting requirements, because we want that the maximum transfer of heat should take place during minimum transfer of the heat, solar heat should take place during summer, and we want that maximum heating of the room should take place during winter season. So generally this longer axis of your building, it should be east west. Okay, so we are having minimum this solar gain, okay, in this east and west direction. Okay, so normally ये जो longer side होता है आपका, वो north west में होना चाहिए, and it should be parallel to this east west. So longer side should not face your east and west, otherwise east में से भी आएगा and west में से भी आपका आएगा, ठीक है. So this longer side it should be in parallel to east west. Okay, so that you can have comfortable temperature inside your house. अगर आप छोटी साइड कर देते हो तो पूरा घर आपका तपेगा ईस्ट डायरेक्शन से सुबह एंड शाम को वेस्ट डायरेक्शन से. So it should not happen. Okay, so this kind of orientation, that is longer axis of the building, should have east west orientation. So by orientation of the building also you can obtain heat insulation. Next is by providing this shading. So basically this shading of the roof, it can also help. Okay, so you can see this is the summer sun and this is the winter sun, and here so many thermal insulation measures are also taken up at this wall and at this roof, at the floor also. Okay, so generally if shading, it may not help you if your altitude angle is very high. Okay, because यहाँ तक तो वो उसको आपको दे देगा, लेकिन very it is very what you can say, it is very high, its altitude angle. In that case it may obtain certain heat gain. Okay, so that it may not be a proper method. So you can increase the parapet wall also. Okay, but it is only applicable when this altitude angle with respect to horizontal uska angle too high na ho. So that in that case only it can provide you certain insulation. Then sunbreaker tree. So this deciduous trees that can also help in providing such kind of heat insulation. So this kind of sunbreakers, so normally you can find in many buildings, they can be provided. Then deciduous trees. So this deciduous trees, it allow the sun to warm building in the winter, but they prevent in summer. Okay. Also such kind of sunshade awnings that can be also provided. So these are some of the measures. These are the general measures. Okay. Then also, as I told you, that height of the ceiling is also very important. Okay. So generally this temperature, surface temperature of the ceiling, it does not vary with its height. इतना कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. But intensity जो होती है ना, that long wave radiation emitted by the ceiling decreases as it travels downwards. उसकी intensity कम होती जाती है. So if you provide the ceiling height about 1 to 1.3 meter above your the occupant height, occupant की जो height है उससे 1 to 1.3 meter above if you are keeping your ceiling, then it can provide you good insulation. Okay, intensity थोड़ी कम हो जाती है transfer की. So special means that special what you can say provision should be provided in the ceiling. So how you are providing this ceiling insulation material etc that you are providing, that you have to follow. So special attention to be given to the ceiling type क्या आप choose कर रहे हैं. So proper insulation is required. Then insulation of floor, wall insulation or cavity wall. So these are all measures that can increase your thermal insulation by different means. Then heat insulation by passive solar design. Now what is the meaning of this passive solar design? So basically it is the utilizations of sun's energy. We have to use maximum sun's energy and geographical climate and the properties of different material for heat and cooling the building, heating and cooling of the building. Sun की energy use करना है, local climate का use करना है, properties of different materials we have to use, and it includes all the methods that use no human made energy. तो कोई human made energy नहीं है. And we try to reduce the amount of energy needed for heating and cooling to a considerable amount. So here just try to see these 5 elements of such passive solar design. So first is, which is called as the aperture or control. Control nahi, collector. So normally these windows that are provided south facing windows, then normally southwest direction, that is considered to be good for the bedroom. Okay, so that you can get the breeze of air, cool air. Okay, so south facing windows. Then absorber. So absorber basically it's a hard or dark surface of wall or floor material with certain heat taking materials so that it can absorb the heat. Okay, then thermal mass, that is the actual material that retains and store the heat. So proper thermal mass you can provide in your this particular floor. Okay, some will be absorbed, some will be stored. Okay, so depending upon your particular season, it should have that particular arrangement. Okay, then distribution, then circulation of the heat through natural conduction, convection and radiation. So proper cool air whatever is coming inside, it should be circulating inside your house. And control is nothing but it is in the form of, we don't want this summer sun to enter, we only want that winter sun, that particular solar energy is coming inside, it can be absorbed, it can be stored, it can be circulated inside your house to have the proper temperature. But this summer sun, and that is to be avoided by different means. Okay, so that is all roof overhang, blinds or awnings or trees. यहाँ पे जब भी समर सन आएगा तो उसको अवॉइड करेंगे, विंटर सन को मैक्सिमम आने देंगे, एंड दैट सर्कुलेशन ऑफ द एयर, that proper distribution should take place. So here there is no human made energy, only it is the use of your solar energy and your climate and the properties of the different material. So this fifth element is called as control. So if such kind of elements that are provided, it is called as passive solar design. So that can give you overall heat insulation in general. So there are methods of heat insulation used for the different components of building now. So that we are discussing कि भाई रूफ पे कैसा करना है, वॉल पे कैसा करना है. So that is method of heat insulation or thermal insulation for building. So as you know that heat enters the building through this roof, terrace, wall, window, doors. So opening in general, you can say. So first we will discuss about this thermal insulation of exposed roof, जहाँ से maximum time, क्योंकि we are having that roof all over in your house. तो जो भी roof अगर proper नहीं होगा, so that will be maximum responsible for the heat gain. Okay, so normally this overall thermal transmittance जितना transmit हो रहा है आपका to the exposed roof, it should not be more than, this is the unit of thermal transmittance, 8 kilojoule per meter square area in per hour in degree centigrade. Okay, so it should not be more than this 8 value. So it can be done by treating from inside or outside surface. Inside से भी कर सकते हैं, outside से भी कर सकते हैं. So when we are talking about internal treatment, so false ceiling, काफी घरों में false ceiling होता है ना, नीचे तक आता है वो ceiling, normal height से नीचे दिखता है आपको, ठीक है. So this false ceiling, ये आपका normal slab है, ठीक है. And here you are providing hook and the suspenders are there and the ceiling joists are there, and then you are providing again next ceiling, and that is called as false ceiling. So this air gap is there. So if some heat gain is there by this slab, due to this air gap, this inside your house, you that the heat transfer would not take place. Okay, so this ceiling, it may be also made by the insulating materials. So so this is, you can say it's an internal application inside your house. So in case of internal application, the material may be fixed with the adhesives on the underside of the exposed roof with the rooms. एक तो आप ये फॉल सीलिंग कर सकते हैं, या तो फिर कुछ heat insulating material that you can fix inside, that can also be possible. And in case of installing the heat resisting material, it can be placed above but below the waterproof course. Waterproof course के नीचे रखना है if you are providing it with inside. Okay, so that there should not be a movement of moisture. So internal treatment में false ceiling or some heat insulating material can be fixed. So this shows the false ceiling. So this is a very common method that is adopted, and so many houses they are having such kind of false ceiling. So this false ceiling is shown for the flat roof and the pitched roof. Okay, so normal ceiling से नीचे आ जाता है आपका ceiling, ठीक है. So here the same thing, this is the exposed roof, these hooks are there, this air gap. Okay, so that will this gap, it will actually act as the insulating medium जो भी transfer को रोक देता है, ठीक है. And this is your false ceiling, and these are the suspenders. Similarly in the pitched roof, in inclined roof also you can provide such kind of false ceiling. Okay, so that this gap, it will avoid the heat transfer inside your house. So this false ceiling are also widely used in India. So many houses they are having such false ceiling, just to as a measure of aesthetic view also, as well as for the thermal insulation. Next is external treatment. So बाहर से treatment करना है आपको roof का, ठीक है ना. So suitable sun shading devices on the exposed surface, it is okay. Then reflective material that you can provide on the top of the roof. Okay, so that can reflect the radiant energy. Also this flat roof that can be provided with the air gap. So these are the AC sheets. Okay, AC sheets can be provided on this bricks. ये आपका, this is your normal flat roof, उसके ऊपर आपने brick रख दिया, and उसके ऊपर you are providing the sheet. So you can say that this gap, it will avoid the direct heat transfer to your flat roof. Also this flooding of water on the flat roof, that can also be provided by storing or spraying water to your roof. Normally हम गर्मी में करते हैं कि भाई पानी ऊपर नहीं जाओ तो अपने थोड़ी ओछी गर्मी ट्रांसफर થાય. So also this thermal insulation of the flat roof may be provided by putting a layer of 25 mm thickness of coconut pith cement concrete. So this kind of coconut pith cement concrete that can be also used. एक आपको layer होती है. Or also you can do the whitewashing of your roof before each summer. So that can also help in heat insulation. So this is the external treatment for your roof. Okay, next is exposed wall. अभी next maximum heat that is coming inside your house after this roof is your exposed wall, because that is also all around surrounding your house. So basically here also this thermal transmittance should be less than 8 value, kilojoule per meter square over degree centigrade. So this thickness of wall is very important. If you are increasing the thickness of wall, that will increase the your heat insulation. So basically it all depends upon कि कितना extent of heat insulation चाहिए. Accordingly you can choose the thickness of your wall. So this hollow wall or the cavity wall construction is also adopted. So that will discontinue the heat transfer. That is the only thing. Okay. So if your partition wall, also you can provide the air gap. So here this is your partition wall. So by using such wooden battens, and here you can fix some hardboard. Okay, so this kind of seating means it's a just sheet of hardboard that can be provided on the battens on the either side of the wall. So that will also avoid some heat transfer. So such kind of hardboard seating that can be provided. Okay, so such kind of sheets can be used. Then this whitewash or light color distemper that can be also used to be applied to the exposed surface of the wall to have the better thermal insulation value. So here this is the heat insulation of the solid wall using the plaster board. So such kind of plaster board can be fixed. ये आपका existing solid wall है. This is your wooden batten, timber के batten, and here this is your insulating board. So that will avoid the entry of your heat from outside to inside your house. Okay, so this kind of heat insulation boards that can be also fixed in your solid wall and partition wall. Also this third one is your openings. So whatever your exposed windows, doors and ventilator openings, they can be also the third source from where the heat can be coming. So that you can try with this reduction of incidence of सोलर हीट. जो भी सोलर हीट आ रही है उसको आप रोकने का ट्राई कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. सो दैट कैन बी डन बाय एक्सटर्नल शेडिंग. Okay, such as louvered shutters. So normally this kind of louvered shutters that can be provided. Then sun breakers can be provided. Normally that weather shade and chhajjas that are always provided. And also you can provide such kind of very heavy thick curtain or some heavy folds or this kind of Venetian blinds. Such kind of awnings can also be provided. So these are the general methods already we have discussed. So that can be done just to avoid this heat gain through this exposed doors, windows and ventilators. Next what you can do, you can try to reduce the heat transmission. तो ये तो हम रोकने का ट्राई कर रहे हैं. नेक्स्ट हम ट्रांसमिशन रोकने का. सो यू कैन प्रोवाइड द ग्लेज्ड डोर्स एंड विंडोज. इफ यू आर प्रोवाइडिंग द ग्लेज्ड, जो ग्लास का बना होता है, so it can be achieved by providing the insulating glass. Instead of a simple glass, you provide insulated glass or double glazed glass with air gap in between. So such kind of special care can be taken to choose the material that is useful for the doors and window material. ठीक है. तो जो भी हम glass use कर रहे हैं वो double glaze with the air gap, so that can be provided. Now these are some methods or material that are general methods and material all that are discussed here. So basically this wall, okay, that can be provided with heat insulating material with high thermal resistivity and low thermal conductivity. So everything that you can apply, that is you can provide heat insulating material or that foam plaster, that is board you can say, in the roof, in the wall, also this kind of cavity wall. These are the general methods that can be applied. Okay, so all the exposed wall, inside outside ceiling, everything that can be provided with the different materials, heat insulating materials, as well as the proper means by which you can try to avoid maximum heat inside your house. So you want to avoid the you want to reduce the thermal transmittance to the required limit that is given. Okay, so roof, then opening and your wall, each and everything that you have to provide with proper material and methods. So thank you very much. I have discussed everything which is necessary for providing thermal insulation to your building.